Hello, my name is Craig Cook and I'm talking to you today in regards to another subject. It's called hit by an uninsured driver. Your legal options in Arkansas and Oklahoma. I am quite familiar with this because we're getting a lot of these cases that's coming in where you have substantial amount of injuries. I mean, life-threatening, internal, bad injuries from folks who are out here driving with no insurance. Remember, there's a difference between uninsured and underinsured. Uninsured means that the person who hits you has no insurance. Underinsured means the other person who hits you has insurance. It's just not enough to cover the value of your case. So what we're talking about here is uninsured. They have no insurance at all on the other side that hits you. That is, those distinctions are in Arkansas. In Oklahoma, they sometimes use uninsured, kind of blurry. Uninsured can mean underinsured and uninsured based upon some of the cases I've handled. Bottom line is that the person who hits you has no insurance or uninsured, and any amounts above their insurance amount would be, I guess, be considered in Oklahoma uninsured because it doesn't cover the value of the case. But in any case, as long as you have underinsured motorist coverage in both Arkansas and Oklahoma, you can cover any amounts over and above what the other party who hit you has in insurance coverage. But the number one thing from this particular subject is if they're uninsured in Arkansas, you've got to have uninsured motorist coverage, not just underinsured, uninsured motorist coverage. In Oklahoma, some of the policies I've looked at seems to say uninsured, but talk to your particular agent to make sure that if somebody hits you, they're uninsured, do you have coverage, versus if somebody hits you, they've got insurance coverage, but it's just not enough. So make sure you talk to your insurance agent over in Oklahoma in that regard. The legal options that you have in both Arkansas and Oklahoma is you have to go against your own insurance. I have a lot of people who have significant injuries come to me, find out they don't have no insurance on the other side. I tell them they got to go after their own insurance company, won't do it because they're afraid their insurance rate's going to go up. Don't do that. There's a reason you pay for insurance coverage, and it's to be able to go against your insurance company. But in any case, that means if you have truly uninsured, you got to go against your own insurance company. What should you do immediately following a crash? Make sure you don't state, I'm not really hurt. Make sure that you don't have to complain about it, but just don't start making comments, I'm not really hurt, ain't nothing wrong with me. Because what ends up happening in car crashes, the adrenaline's rushing, or immediately after the accident, you don't really feel anything, and a day or two goes by and you feel a lot of things. So just keep your comments to yourself in regards to your bodily injury. Unless you're specifically asked if you need to go to the hospital, and obviously you want to be, if you don't think you need to go to the hospital right then, that's fine too. It's just make sure you get checked out. Secondly, make sure that you got the police are called to document everything. If you don't document everything, then you're going to have problems trying to show that you actually had an accident. Third, if you have the ability to take down make photographs of the scene before the cars are moved out of the roadway, try to do so. Fourth, if there's anybody there that's a witness, make sure the police officer talks to that particular person, because a lot of times you'll have accidents. People who witness the accident will be there. The police officer doesn't talk to them. They don't get the statement down, and you never find them again. Next, how can uninsured motorist coverage help pay for damages and medical expenses? Well, that's exactly what it means. It's the coverage that you have to help you pay for your damages and your medical expenses. Something that's related to this, but not the exact same thing, is what's called personal injury protection. That's where you have what's called MedPay that allows you to get monies to pay for your medical charges. So not only do you have to pursue your uninsured motorist coverage, but if you have personal injury protection or MedPay, you got to pursue that against your own insurance company. You also have some instances, some disability insurance that you can recover on your own insurance. One other thing, the law in regards to recovery of medical expenses is changing, especially in Arkansas. So you need to be abreast of that. A lot of times I have people to make sure that if they have health insurance coverage, to have the healthcare provider pay for those medical expenses. Now, I'm not so sure sometimes based upon the law change in the state of Arkansas. Really probably still need to do that because you don't want that to be on your credit report. Arkansas and Oklahoma law state-specific requirement and how local laws influence your case. Touched on this a little bit previously. In regards to payment of medical bills, it is not a straightforward answer, especially in Oklahoma, as to what you get to show the jury. A lot of times the best course is to have your medical insurance pay for it, let the lawyer figure out what they're going to do with that if you got to go to trial. Same thing with Arkansas. Used to be in Arkansas, and still in some of the cases now, you get to put all the charges in front of the jury because the thought process is the person who hit you shouldn't benefit from you paying for the health insurance. but the legislature's kind of changed that now. The best case, what I would recommend to folks is if you've got health insurance, let them go ahead and pay the bill. And you have some pushback from the medical care providers because they want to get dollar for dollar. That can be a problem. If you have this situation where you have an uninsured motorist accident and you have uninsured coverage, come in and see us and let us help you navigate through that, because you can get disadvantaged if you try to do it yourself. And then finally, mistakes made by accident victims. How to avoid why and when. How to avoid and why and when legal assistance is crucial to secure your fair compensation. This kind of goes back into these medical bills, medical charges. You've got to make sure that you have your health insurance coverage pay for those charges. It may disadvantage you a little bit if you got to try the case in front of a jury, but it helps you as far as your credit report is concerned. Now, in regards to uninsured motorist cases, as well as cases where the other side who hits you has sufficient insurance coverage, there's certain things you've got to do to make sure you're not ending up holding the bag later on. Like, for instance, you got to make sure you research and make sure all the charges are paid. If you have Medicaid or Medicare or ERISA or TRICARE, you've got to make sure, or VA benefits that's been paid, you got to make sure that subrogation is taken care of in the settlement. If you do not, you may end up owing money over and above what you receive, which can be precarious and get a lien put against you. So you need to contact us, Law Office of Craig L. Cook, if you have any kind of an automobile accident, specifically if you have an automobile accident in regards to uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage. You can contact us by calling us at 479-783-8000. Go to our website. Thank you very much.